My sister is getting married. The wedding is on Thursday the 23rd, and instead of having a big traditional affair, she and her fiancé opted out of all the usual wedding things. They're going to the registry office to sign the papers and then go out to dinner. They chose Thursday because they both have the day off. They work in a hospital and don't always have weekends off. They invited me, my parents, my brother and her fiancé's dad, to witness them signing the papers and to eat dinner with them because they both had to work the following day. We all think this is great, are happy for them. There is just one thing my parents suggested. My brother struggles with time blindness. It's debilitating to him, even if he sets alarms or reminders or takes medication for ADHD. It still affects his life. It's affected his job and his relationships. I'm not exaggerating when I tell you how much it affects him. He is currently out of work because of it, and he's missed things such as flights, sporting events, and other life events. I cannot stress how debilitating it is for him, even if he has someone on there reminding him and trying to get him out the door on time. Here's the issue. The registry office is so busy that you must make an appointment. You cannot just walk in. It's the same for the restaurant. My sister and her fiancé want to have dinner. A reservation is required, knowing that my brother has trouble. Because of his time blindness, my parents suggested that instead of going to that particular registry office and that particular place for lunch, my sister and her fiancé should instead go to a different registry office. It's not far away, and this one doesn't require appointments. It allows walk-ins. There are also many restaurants near this registry office, and none require reservations this way. We wouldn't have to miss their appointments because of my brother. It would work for everyone. I thought it was a good idea, however my sister was incensed when my parents brought it up. Even though the other registry office is only one village over, and going there wouldn't change anything, she said. She wouldn't allow our brother's issues to dictate the day further. She said that rather than missing the appointment, if my brother was late, they would go ahead. And if he missed it, that wasn't her problem. I couldn't believe or understand why she was so incensed. And neither could my parents. I thought the suggestion was a good idea. It would allow my sister to get married on Thursday like she wants to without my brother's issues causing the appointment to be missed. Am I the idiot, I asked, because I genuinely thought my parents made a good suggestion that would work well for everyone. So how often does everyone in the family have to rearrange their plans and organize their life around your brother? You are the idiot, and so are your parents. You can't have a walk in anything when it involves multiple people. Gathering well, are they just supposed to walk in and sit there for hours until your brother possibly manages to show up? If you and your parents want him there, assign someone to be your brother's handler of the day. Wake him up, hand him the clothes to put on. Take him to the car by his hand. Drive him and stop making their wedding day about him. Imagine if it were a traditional wedding. What would they do then? Hold them at the altar? Until Brother Dearest can come, good grief. Oh, I just know from reading this that it's been Op's sister's whole life. I wonder how long it will take for us to see the I had to cut off my whole mentally ill enabling family story also. Hey, let's go to a cheaper, not as nice restaurant on your wedding day, so that your brother can sleep in and faff about when he wakes up. Give me a break unless your brother is made of liquid or gas. He can be physically brought to this event by another family member. Just because the alternative office and restaurant allow walk-ins still does not prevent him from forgetting the event altogether, or still turning up ridiculously late and making everyone wait potentially hours. This is 100% not a solution in any sense exactly guarantee that has been the parents' expectation for this man's entire life. Why do the hard work of teaching him tools to manage his disability when they can instead expect the whole world to accommodate him? Hope your family are the idiots for suggesting this, and her frustration is probably because she had to grow up and be around this coddling and babying for years. Do not make the sister and her spouse wait around for the brother, and just get the brother there on time. It's depressing the way you and your parents think he should be. Central to her wedding, I have an 18-year-old son and a teen stepdaughter. They're civil with each other, but have their own lives. It's just how our family is, especially since my husband and I married when my son was 14. His daughter was a tween. I'm not too strict with my son. I don't know what he does with his friends, and I'm not too involved in his personal relationships. We're still just as close as any other mother and child anyway. A couple of days ago, my stepdaughter sent me a series of photos of my son. I believe he may have posted them on his private social media accounts, and it was images of him at parties, smoking, drinking, and doing things with both genders. I immediately told my stepdaughter that what she did was unnecessary and inappropriate. She replied with "sorry and just thought you should know." I told her that unless he's in danger or hurting himself myself or other people, I rather not know what my 18-year-old son does in his free time. I didn't want them to fight, so I didn't say anything, especially since my stepdaughter apologized once again. But yesterday I was with my husband, and he was showing me a video on his phone when his daughter started sending him a bunch of messages. He opened them in front of me, and it was the same exact pictures of my son that she sent me days before. But this time she said, "So I sent these to stepmom, but she thinks this is okay." Behavior. Do you agree my husband didn't know how to react and told her that it really wasn't any of their business what he does, and she just sent a bunch of eye roll emojis? My son came home a while later, and I decided to tell him that his stepsister was sending us pictures of him. He seemed confused and asked to see, so I showed him the messages. He was extremely embarrassed and upset and went to his room. I then heard him on the phone yelling at someone. My stepdaughter came home an hour later and started yelling at me for snitching on her. I told her she was invading his privacy, and he had the right to know. I gave her the benefit of the doubt the first time. But then she sent the pictures to her father. She said that I just ruined half of her friendships, and my son, a lot of his friends, blocked her on social media. She says she had good intentions and wanted me know what he was up to. But I just had to assume the worst. My husband agrees that my son should know, but he thinks we could have given him a vague idea instead of showing the pictures and telling him. Am I the idiot? Edit. His posting those pictures on social media was just my assumption. Some look very clearly posted by him on his private social media accounts, but some were blurry enough for me to question it. My son is too embarrassed to look at me right now, so I can't confirm I'm trying to reassure him, but he's locked himself in his room, so I'm giving him some time before trying again. Also, I clearly state that I have no interest in his relationships. I know he doesn't hang out with weird or dangerous people. That's all I need to know. LMAO, what she literally stalked him and took pictures of him to send to you to get him in trouble, and she's calling you a niche. You're the damn parent. She makes no sense. Not the idiot. Maybe a grounding is in order. I don't know. But damn, what's her deal? Yeah, and maybe she outed him as well. Opie doesn't say she knew he was bi. She was definitely trying to get him into some trouble. I don't know her reasons, but she's going about it in the worst way possible, good on Op, for not accepting that BS and I hope the daughter learns a good lesson about not being a horrible excuse for a human being. From this, I'd like to throw in that my sister used to do very similar things. She'd take everything she learned about me to my mom and try to cause trouble. It destroyed our relationship, and 20 years later, we still barely talk. Stepdaughter was trying to stir up trouble, tell her she ruined half of her friendships herself. I have a pre-tween daughter. Rose is prone to ear infections. She recently had a double ear infection and couldn't go to school on Friday because she had a low-grade fever. I had to go to work and couldn't get a babysitter, so my sister-in-law offered to keep her for me. Everything seemed to go well until I pick Rose up, and my sister-in-law told me she'd put breast milk she had an infant in Rose's ears to help with the ear infection. She even offered to send some home in a drop-a bottle so I could keep giving it to her. She claims it's an excellent remedy, and Rose is already feeling better. I couldn't believe that she did this to my child without asking. I yelled at her for it, we argued, and I told her she would no longer be able to babysit or be around Rose unsupervised. Now, Rose is as upset that she can't go to her auntie's house anymore, and my brother called me to say that I upset his wife. She was just trying to help, and that I overreacted. This is a woman putting her bodily fluids in my child's ear. I think I have a right to be upset. It seems that everyone is against me on this, so I wanted to know if I was the idiot for banning her from babysitting or being near Rose unsupervised, not the idiot. But this does seem like an overreaction. Yes, she definitely should have asked first. I think labeling breast milk as bodily fluids while Acura is lumping it in with unsanitary things you'd never put in a kid's body. I've had pediatricians recommend putting breast milk in ears for ear infections, in eyes to clear eye boogers, and bathing them in it to help eczema. It's not like she was putting pee in your child's ear. This is something that's pretty common and recommended by some doctors. Again, she should have asked first, but never letting your kids see them again for this seems extreme. She was just trying to help. It wasn't malicious. One quick Google brings up how breast milk is not effective against eye infections and can actually cause more harm as it can introduce more bacteria into the eye, leading to more serious infection and risking the long-term health of the eye. The same is said for ear infections. Thankfully, doctors in the UK aren't suggesting this at all. The whole story has such "do your own research" energy breastfeeding has been found to reduce the incidence of ear infections due to jaw movements. No peer-reviewed source anywhere is going to tell you to put your own, let alone someone else's breast milk into your child's ear. Breast milk is a wonderful source of nutrition for tiny humans, but inserting something made of fluid and nutrition, including proteins and sugars, into something that is essentially a fine-tuned musical instrument. Jesus' ears are a really delicate system, and introducing random stuff into them can cause ear infections, pain, and deafness. Well, I wish I could say that I can't believe people are that dumb. However, I'm over 40, and my oldest is nearly an adult. I heard it all when he was a baby. I thought for sure it wouldn't still be going on, but apparently you can still slap that BS on everything, LOL. My nearly adult female mother was my world. I remember reading books, watching documentaries, and going on road trips with her. She baked my sister and me cookies. Whenever we were sick, she and Dad would take us hiking every other week. I still miss her even now. When I was 11 years old, she passed away from a driving accident. It was the hardest year in my life, and it hasn't gotten easier. 2 years after she passed, my father started dating a woman named Nicole, and 4 years later, they're getting married. Nicole is younger than my father after dating Nicole. I saw my father come back into his shell, but it turned into something else. Nicole brought adventure back into his life. But they often went on elaborate trips and frequent nights out. During all of this, I felt neglected. My father slowly stopped taking my sister and me on our weekly hikes. He started speaking less over calls, and he even once forgot my mother's birthday. After she came into our lives, I started losing my father. He just wasn't there anymore one time when my sister and I were home alone. She fell down the stairs and got a huge cut on her forehead. It was clear she needed stitches. So I called my father immediately. Nicole answered the phone, and I told her to give the phone to my father. She refused, saying he was busy. And before I could get another word in, she disconnected the call. I embarrassingly had to asked the neighbour to bring us to urgent care, where my dad later met us. This woman at one point removed my mother's picture from the fire mantle to put up an image of her and my dad from their trip to Washington. What tipped me over was when she made my father forget about my mother's birthday every year. My sister and I go with our father to visit my mother on her birthday. It was an annual tradition, even before Nicole entered our lives. Nicole and my father went on a trip to Florida and were supposed to be back 3 days before my mother's birthday. But because this woman gets motion sick, my father decided to break the drive back into small intervals to make it easier on her. Because of this, he ended up missing our annual trip. He didn't even call us, not even a week later. Father has the nerve to tell us about an exciting surprise. Nicole is pregnant. I get angry and tell my father. Do you really need to get her pregnant when you can't even be here for us? I then look at Nicole and tell her she's a disgusting piece of trash, and to get out of our lives, my father gets angry and yells at me to go to my room. Later, my grandpa unexpectedly came over to pick me up. My father didn't text me crap, even as I left. He wouldn't even look at me. It's been 2 days and I'm still at my grandparents' home. I feel ashamed for saying what I said, yet I don't feel overwhelming regret. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot Nicole showed her colours when your sister was injured and she wouldn't let you talk to your dad, and he showed his colours too in many different ways. I hope your grandparents can continue to be there for you. You are harsh and rude, but I can't fault you given what you've shared, Opie. I'm so sorry the two of you were neglected. Ask your grandparents to get your mother's heirlooms out of the house. And I really hope you can lean on your grandparents and stay with them. Tell them of this neglect. Also check that your mother's legacy inheritance is not stolen from you. Your father is not a good parent or a person. He has abandoned you when you've lost your mother and would deserve special love and care. I hope you can go to counselling for emotional support work on your school, cling to your sister and grandparents, and any aunts and uncles if you have any lean on. Friends, good luck. Your feelings are very justified. You are not the idiot here. So I'm 27 male, dating this girl 24 for about a month now. And the last time we got together, I noticed she had a very small tattoo on the back of her neck. I'd never seen it before, because her hair covered it. Now, here's the weirdest thing: she has my name tattooed. So obviously, the first thing I thought was that she made a tattoo after me, which would be insane, given we were only going out for a few weeks. And this is still a casual relationship. But she told me it wasn't about me. It was about someone else with the same name, just a coincidence. I looked closer and noticed the tattoo seemed old and faded. So it definitely wasn't done recently either way. I was obviously intrigued, so I asked, "Is it someone in your family?" And she just said no and provided no additional information. So it was clear she didn't want to tell me who this person was. But now, there's suddenly this missing information about her, and I simply can't let this go. So I kept asking her, was it a friend? Was it an ex? Until she lost her patience and told me it was none of her business. Am I the idiot for pushing her to tell me who it was? Also worth saying, she has no other tattoos besides this one. So it seems even more meaningful. You are the idiot, and the fact that you immediately thought the tattoo was about you is wild. Stop when someone says stop. She doesn't need to tell you anything about her past. The tattoo isn't about you, end the story, let it go given. They've only been dating for a month and don't even seem to be at the girlfriend-boyfriend stage. I agree, however. If they keep dating, they will reach a point where she likely needs to give them a little more of an explanation. I get where you're coming from. But if she's not ready to tell you, just leave it alone. And if you don't like that, she won't tell you, you then leave the relationship up, is a tool, no respect for boundaries, and no common sense or critical thinking skills. She's 24 with an older faded tattoo of a guy's name. It's pretty obvious it's an ex. She was young and dumb when she got it, probably barely 18, and it's not something she's proud of. Other options are a person she dated who died and she doesn't like to discuss it. Or maybe she gave a child out for adoption. In any case, you are the idiot. Learn to read the room.